All right, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to shut down the chat. So if you have questions, please be sure to put those into the Q&A. So let's go ahead and get started. So welcome everyone to the Society of Thoracic Surgeons Congenital Heart Surgery Database monthly webinar. Today is Tuesday, August the 13th. I can't believe we are already in August. It just blows my mind. Let's see here. Next slide, Emily. On the call with me today, let's see who we have. From the STS side, we have myself, Emily Conrad, Addie Dolan, Banu Yagasi. We have Chastity and Leslie, our CHSD consultants. And then we have Melinda Offer, our ACSD consultant, joining us today, as well as Nancy Honeycutt. She is our manager for the adult cardiac database. And then we also have Paul Meehan joining today. So thanks everyone for being on the call with me. For the agenda, I'm going to provide a brief STS update, and then I'm going to turn things over to Addie, who's going to talk a little bit about our data manager collaborative. And then we will turn everything over to Chastity for STS data manager education, Chastity and Leslie. Today, actually, we're just going to cover the post-operative event review, mechanical circulatory support. We're not going to be covering the aortic aneurysm diagnosis and repairs. Again, today it's just going to be the post-operative event review. And then we'll wrap things up with Q&A. Per usual, as always, again, be sure to submit your questions via that Q&A function. And if you'd like, you can just raise your hand and we can unmute you and you can ask your question. Just ensure that your microphone is enabled on your end. All right, next slide. Okay, for STS updates, the August training manual is posted and available out on the STS website for your review. Our spring 24 harvest, the surgery dates of January 1, 2020, with data up through 12/31/2023. We are in the final stages of report QC. We just had a call with IQVIA right before this. So that report is being finalized and will be released within the next 2 weeks. STS will be sending an official communication as soon as that report is posted and available for you to access. The fall 24 harvest, as you're aware, is currently underway. That we're accepting surgery dates up through June 30th of 2024. That harvest is scheduled to close after AQO September 27th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern, and the opt-out date for that fall 24 harvest is October 1st of 2024. Next, I'm going to turn things over to Addie Dolan, who is going to talk about the STS Data Manager Collaborative. So Addie, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Leanne. Hi, everyone. You may know me if you've ever needed to do a contact update for your site. I wanted to just say a quick reminder before I get started that the annual contact update is coming up this fall for your STS annual bill. It will take into account your surgeons and the billing contact information that you have listed for your site. So please do go ahead and get that updated. If you have any questions about how to update your contacts, how to add or remove surgeons, or how to find out who your billing contact is, please feel free to reach out to me at stsdb@sts.org. But what I am really excited to talk to you about today is the STS Data Manager Collaborative. This program is now open. We are so excited to have this resource for you. You may know it by its former name, which is the Data Manager Mentorship Program. We are pivoting towards a more collaborative approach with the Data Manager Collaborative, where you don't need to be an expert to get involved. We're transitioning away from the sort of mentor-mentee relationship, and we're hoping that this is going to be a supportive network for you to ask and answer questions that you have about STS data abstraction. So on the website, we've created a web page for you, which includes a list of FAQs, including the benefits of participating in the program. So participating in the program will provide functional support for your role. You'll be able to ask and answer any pressing questions you have about STS data abstraction. You'll create new connections, build your network, and be part of a professional community. Also in the FAQs, we've put together a list of questions that we're hoping that you can ask and answer. So those are going to be questions about your workflow, like what are the general rules of data abstraction, and how do you collaborate with your surgeons, and how often should you meet with them? Education questions like what resources are available to me and where do I find them? And many other questions. So we have that list for you on the website. And so if you're interested in signing up, we'll have you complete a short sign-up form. The sign-up form will ask you for your name, your email, some other contact information, your database component, software vendor, and EHR system, and then we'll match you as closely as we can on all possible factors. Once you've been matched, we will follow up with you to introduce you to your match, who you can then discuss how you would like to meet, how often you like to meet, what questions you have, if you want to do phone calls or email or a Zoom meeting, and get started with your data mentor, your data manager match. So if one thing to note is that if you participated previously in the mentorship program, we'll ask that you do please sign up again if you'd like to participate in the data manager collaborative. And so if you have any questions at all about the program, about signing up, about the FAQs, about where things are located, please feel free to contact me at stsdb@sts.org. Thanks, Leanne.
All right, thanks, Addie. We appreciate it. And again, if you have any questions about the Data Manager Collaborative, please reach out to us. We're excited about this new program. Addie's worked really hard on it. So again, we encourage you to get signed up, and let's make those connections and get you all the support that you need. So thank you so much, Addie. We appreciate it. All right, next slide. AQO, as you all know, AQO is coming up September 11th through the 13th in Nashville, Tennessee. We can go to the next slide. With our congenital day being on Friday the 13th, actually one of my favorite days. 13 is my lucky number. AQO registration is open. So again, be sure if you have not registered, next slide, please, you can go ahead and get registered. Again, we'll be at the Lowe's Vanderbilt in Nashville. Our pricing, our standard rates are applying now, as well as, you know, the virtual pricing is available for you as well. So we do hope that you are able to join us in person this year. And if you're not able to join us, please, if you're not able to join us, you know, you do have the virtual component. So just a reminder that the virtual component for AQO is not a live stream. So the sessions will be recorded. The sessions in Nashville will be recorded, and that content will be uploaded post AQO to our virtual platform for you to access. The on-demand presentations and things like that will be available for you prior to AQO. Once Emily will send an email once the virtual platform is available for you to access. So any of those on-demand presentations will be available for you to go ahead and view prior to the start of AQO. So that is for everyone, our in-person people as well as our virtual people. So again, we are looking forward to seeing all of you that are able to join us in Nashville. You know, moving forward, we're going to be moving to in-person meetings moving forward. So we look forward to getting back to the pre-COVID days of where we're all in person and being together and being able to collaborate and network. And also just a reminder, the agenda for AQO has been uploaded to the STS website, so you can take a peek and see what all will be going on at AQO this year. What else? There was something else I wanted to say about AQO. I can't remember. Oh, also, we'll have our networking session on Thursday evening. So for those of you coming in person for the Friday session, please be sure to get there in time for our networking session for that Thursday evening. So we're excited to have everyone there and in person and have that session so we can hang out and catch up and chit chat. So we look forward to seeing you all there in Nashville. And let's see here. Next slide. All right, that's all that I have from the STS side of things. So now I'm going to turn things over to Chastity and Leslie. So we do have some polling questions coming up. So just be sure to get those fingers ready. And Chastity, the floor is yours.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Leanne. So today we are going to review post-operative events, and it's going to be specifically on coding mechanical circulatory support. And much of our education in these webinars, and including upcoming at AQO, is really there. It's coming from the questions that you all are submitting as clinical questions to the FAQ box. So keep submitting those. We very much appreciate getting those questions and then knowing what people need. And sometimes when multiple people do submit the same question or a similar question in spirit, it does tell us, gosh, we need to get this to the forefront and do this education. So thank you to those of you who did submit questions on this topic. Also, please feel free, you can email Leslie or Leanne and I, or even use the FAQ box to, if you have an idea, like maybe I don't have a specific question today regarding a topic, but if you guys would review this topic, it would be helpful. So please give us those suggestions. So thank you to those of you who have already done that. Next slide, please. So this came in from a question from one of you. So let's go ahead and start with polling. A patient cannot separate from bypass following an arterial switch operation and requires ECMO cannulation in the OR. The patient is then decannulated 3 days later. Do I code postoperative event 40, post-op post-procedural mechanical circulatory support? Yes or no? I'll give you a few seconds to do the polling.
Looks like about 65%, 70% have participated.
Okay, perfect.
I'll end it.
And then if we can go to awesome. Okay, so 95% of you that answered did say yes, which is the correct answer. So next slide. And so let's review, before we go into the specific answers, what the general timeline for coding or capturing post-op events in the database is. So this is directly from the training manual, and it's been there since the training manual came out. But the time frame for post-operative event coding is defined by the designation of the event, whether it's intraoperative, major post-operative, or an other post-operative event. Refer to the specific definition for each event to determine the time frame for data collection. So it's important to remember that while it is called post-operative events, and it's kind of a misnomer, there are many that we would still collect intraoperatively. Next slide. So when we look specifically then at the post-op event of mechanical circulatory support, again, directly from the training manual, you will see that you follow the major event time frame for this. And so we'll review that as well. So next slide. Major post-operative events are collected through the end of the episode of care. And so then there's some, I won't read the training manual to you, but you can go through this. And then there's also a nice, I guess, diagram, if you will, graphic, if you like that better than reading the dense text. But so you are going to follow then mechanical circulatory support that occurs after the OR period, and then all the way out to the end of the episode of care, which is now marked in the database by the end date of database tracking, or the database discharge date. Next slide. So let's look at this question again. A patient cannot separate from bypass following an arterial switch operation and requires ECMO cannulation in the OR. The patient is subsequently decannulated 3 days later. Do I code this post-operative event a post-op post-procedural mechanical circulatory support? And your two answers now are no, because the patient was cannulated during their index operation, or yes, because the patient required mechanical circulatory support in the major post-operative event timeframe. Give you a few minutes to do the polling. How do we look, Emily?
Looking good.
Okay.
Yep, about 60%. I'll end it.
We
Share
can go to
results.
there we go. Okay, so 98% of you have now turned the corner and came over to say yes, because the mechanical circulatory support did occur in the major post-operative event timeline, and that is the correct answer. So it really does not matter where the ECMO cannulation occurred, whether it occurred during the index operation, after the index operation, in the unit later, it doesn't matter. The patient received mechanical circulatory support post-operatively during that major post-op event timeframe. So the answer here is absolutely yes. Next slide. So what I just said, code post-operative event 40, post-op, post-procedural mechanical circulatory support, regardless of when the support was needed during the major post-op event timeframe, and regardless of where the initiation of support occurred. Next slide. So now let's go through another example. 2 days following a Norwood procedure and prior to the delayed sternal closure, a patient experiences a cardiac arrest and is cannulated for ECMO. Subsequently, the patient is converted to VAD support to await heart transplantation. So the question is, do I code post-operative event 40, post-op, post-procedural mechanical circulatory support? And your choices are no, because the cannulation occurred while the sternum was still open, or yes, because the patient required mechanical circulatory support in the major post-operative event timeframe. We'll give you a few minutes to do your polling.
Right. I'm going to end it where about 70% of
Okay, perfect.
participated.
Okay, so 100% of you said yes, the patient did require the mechanical circulatory support in the major post-op event timeframe, and you are absolutely correct. So next slide. You're going to code post-operative event 40, post-op, post-procedural mechanical circulatory support, regardless of when the support was needed during the major post-op event timeframe, and regardless of whether the sternum was open or closed. That makes no difference in whether you code the post-operative event. Next slide. Another question. During an inpatient feeding therapy session following complete AV canal repair, a patient aspirates, requires CPR, and subsequent ECMO cannulation. Do I code post-op event 40, post-operative, post-procedural mechanical circulatory support? Your choices are no, because the need for ECMO support was not related to the cardiac surgery, or yes, because the patient required mechanical circulatory support in the major post-op event timeframe. Give you a few minutes.
Right, about 71% have participated, and it's slowed down. I'm going to end the poll
Okay.
and share the results.
Okay, so 97% of you got the answer correct, saying that the patient did require mechanical circulatory support in the post-operative event timeframe, and you are absolutely correct. I get this question from my surgeons as well and have to explain, it does not matter if the ECMO support was related to the cardiac surgery or not. It occurred during the major post-operative event timeframe, and so we are capturing that post-op event. We're not ascribing blame to anyone, not surgeons or anyone else involved in the care of these patients. We are simply saying there is an event that occurred and the patient required, and the event is that the patient required mechanical circulatory support. Great job. Next slide. And so like I just said, you're going to code post-operative event 40, post-op, post-procedural mechanical circulatory support, regardless of the reason the circulatory support was needed. Next. Another example, a patient remained inpatient for 6 months following placement of a central shunt. Just prior to discharge, an incorrect medication was administered, and the patient's subsequent arrhythmias led to hemodynamic instability, requiring 24 hours of ECMO support. Do I code post-op event, post-op, post-procedural mechanical circulatory support? And your choices are no, because the need for ECMO support was 6 months following the index operation, or yes, because the patient required mechanical circulatory support in the major post-op event timeframe. I hope you're seeing a theme here.
All right, I'm gonna end the poll.
Okay. 100%, awesome. I'm getting through to everybody. So yes, you are going to code this event because the patient required support in the major post-operative event timeframe. Next slide. So you're going to code post-op event 40, post-op, post-procedural mechanical circulatory support, regardless of the reason that the support was needed and regardless of when the support was needed, as long as it was during the major post-op event timeframe. So again, I get this question often from my surgeon as well. I think that the surgeons are maybe looking at this as in like that immediate post-op timeframe because it's then felt to be more related to the cardiac surgery. And when it's 6 months out, it's no longer, cardiac, but again, it is a major post-op event that occurred. And we are just trying to capture what events occurred to explain the whole post-operative course or describe the post-operative course of a patient. Next slide. Following heart transplant, a patient transfers to another center closer to home for continued care. The center calls to report the patient experienced a cardiac arrest, required ECMO support, and expired prior to being able to transfer them back to the surgical hospital. Do I code post-operative event 40, post-op, post-procedural mechanical circulatory support? Your choices are no, because the need for ECMO support occurred at another hospital, or yes, because the patient required mechanical circulatory support in the major post-operative event timeframe. We'll give you a few minutes.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and end it.
Okay, so 98% of you said yes, because the patient required mechanical circulatory support in the major post-op event timeframe, and you are correct. So next slide, Emily. So remember that because we defined mechanical circulatory support as a major post-operative event, it occurs through the date of database discharge or the end of database tracking. And therefore, this patient did not, their database tracking had not ended because they had transferred to another facility. So you are going to code post-op event 40, post-op, post-procedural mechanical circulatory support, regardless of when it was needed during the major post-operative event timeframe. So remember, those major post-operative events, we are following through the end date of database tracking. And so this patient's end of database tracking doesn't occur until the date that they died at the other facility. Next slide. A patient receiving VAD support enters the OR for a heart and lung transplant. Following the transplant, the patient is unable to separate from bypass and then requires ECMO support. Do I code post-operative event 40, post-op, post-procedural mechanical circulatory support? Your choices are no, because the patient arrived in the OR already on mechanical circulatory support, or yes, because the patient required mechanical circulatory support in the major post-operative event timeframe.
All right, 70% have participated. I'm gonna end the poll
Okay.
and share results.
And 91% of you said yes, because the patient required mechanical circulatory support in the major post-operative event timeframe, and you would be correct. So next slide. So you're going to code this event, post-operative, post-procedural mechanical circulatory support, regardless of whether the patient required such support at OR entry, date, and time. So this is one of the post-operative events that if the patient came into the OR on support and came out of the OR on said support, then it is a post-operative event. It's an event that occurred after the index operation. So we would capture this event. There are some that require the post-op event to be new onset, but this is not one of those. Next slide. So in summary, mechanical circulatory support is collected as a major post-operative event. You're going to code this event regardless of when or where the patient requires support, and code this event even if the patient was on mechanical circulatory support upon arrival to the OR, if the patient again leaves the OR on mechanical circulatory support. And I believe this is probably my last slide. Yes, so should I take questions now if there are any, or do we want to wait?
Hi, Jess. I don't see any right now, so
Okay.
I'll go over and give people, there's a couple of questions in there, but they're for me and I can
Okay.
handle those and while if they have questions, give them the chance to get those entered. So thank you for a phenomenal presentation as usual. Our first question from Cindy, I think this has to do with notifications posted in IQVIA are dated 4/15/24 and 4/16/24. Where are all the other notifications? That is a great question, Cindy. And honestly, I just pulled up the IQVIA site while Chastity was finishing up her presentation, and I will have to follow up with IQVIA and find out. So I assume they just may have archived the older notifications, but again, I will find out. I assume you would want to see the 2023 notifications. Or if there's additional notifications posted prior to 4/1, I'll follow up and see what the deal is with additional notifications that are not posted. So thank you for letting me know. Let's see here. And then Angie, I think I misspoke. Angie, I think you're helping me out. I think I misspoke on the fall 24 harvest dates that are included. So the fall 24 harvest dates are the analytical dates, surgery dates included are July 1, 2020 through June 30th of 2024. Is that what you were speaking about, Angie? 7/1/2020 through yeah, it's June 30th. It says
Okay.
3 there. So I'll get that corrected. Sorry. Thank you, Angie. I appreciate it. Thank you. So we'll get that corrected. And then Emily.
Scroll to my last slide.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So your last slide.
Second to last slide, I think it is the scenario where the patient was preoperatively on mechanical circulatory support and then again left the OR on said mechanical circulatory support. I do want to point out that in this scenario, as a pre-op factor, you would also enter that the patient was, or you would code that the patient was receiving mechanical circulatory support in the pre-op timeframe. So thank you, Dr. Meyer, for that reminder.
Oh, Dr. Meyer's on. Thanks. Thanks for joining, Dr. Meyer. Didn't see you sneak in there. So thank you for joining. Appreciate you being here. Emily, again, while we're waiting for questions, I don't see anything coming in right now. I'm going to steal your screen share, if I can. Hold on. Let's see here. Let me see here. Share. So yeah, share screen 2. All right. So while we are waiting for additional questions, in case we have some newer data managers on the call, going back to, I wanted to point out back to the AQO information. So if you are looking for information on AQO, the quickest way that I found to get there is just through the STS homepage. You go to education, and then I go to calendar of events. It's just the easiest thing for me, the easiest way for me to get there. And here you'll see all of the events that we have going on here at STS, and then just click on the 2024 Advances in Quality and Outcomes meeting. And here you'll find all things AQO, registration, housing, all things AQO. You can download the agenda via this link here. all information, pricing. So again, all information about AQO can be found here. And then, oopsie, sorry about that. And then for the Data Manager Collaborative, if you're looking for information there from the STS homepage, go to resources, or actually, I'm sorry, just click on Data Manager, browse by Data Manager down here. And actually I lied. That's not the way. Sorry, guys. Even I have issues accessing
Where are you
sources.
going?
I get so confused on this website sometimes. Go to resources. I'm sorry, research and data for data managers. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Sorry about that. And then just scroll down for data manager guidance. And here's the information on the Data Manager Collaborative. You can learn more and sign up via this link here. And then, of course, if you have any questions, Addie and the database operations team can assist you via this link here. So they are more than happy to assist. All right. Let's see. Next question from Robin. I think Paul, maybe you could take this one. Any resolution status on IQVIA critical error surgeon ID issue on Harvest submissions?
Yeah, there's so if you're getting the message that says I don't have it in front of me to remember the exact message, but it's if you have a mismatch of surgeon ID, that turns out to be an issue on our processing side. And the fix for that is going into production in the middle of this week. So like Wednesday or Thursday, you should be able to resubmit and you should not get that message anymore.
All right. Perfect. Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.
And Chas, I think this is a question for you from Tracy. Let's see, I know most of your examples had to do with a CPB case, but if the case is an ECMO cannulation and the only thing that is done due to decompensation, am I correct that for an ECMO case, you do not code MCS as a postoperative event?
Tracy, excellent question. And I struggled with trying to put an example about this in the presentation. And so you're correct. In a patient who comes in and has ECMO or VAD procedures only, never has any type of cardiac surgery or other type of repair. And so you let's say your procedure then is ECMO cannulation. There's no point in putting that the patient received mechanical circulatory support as a post-operative event because your only operation was an ECMO operation or a VAD operation. So you're correct. I think it's just confusing because many people, let's say, have an index operation as a part of their episode of care and have later ECMO cannulation, and it still goes back to that index operation that the patient received mechanical circulatory support. So it felt hard to put in to the presentation, but you're correct. In a patient without any other procedures but circulatory support procedures, you would not need to code that as a post-operative event. So thank you for your question. It was a really great one. Let's see, Angie, for Harvest, should we submit still admitted patients? Is it required or optional? I have a button in my vendor software to exclude admitted patients. How we love those vendor buttons. I get it. It is a requirement that you submit all of your patients, including ones that you know would be excluded because they are still in-house. So you should not use that vendor button to exclude any patients. You want everybody that is submitted, and that is required as a part of your STS contract that you're submitting all patients. Personally, I do have that button, and when I'm initially harvesting or initially going through the IQVIA reports and cleaning up my data in preparation for Harvest, I use the button just because I know those patients that are still in house may show up as missing in all of the reports, and I kind of want to get rid of that noise, right? But at the end, when I'm close to the final harvest, then I go ahead and submit and my data is as clean as I can, then I don't use that button and I make sure everybody is submitted to be a part of a harvest and get submitted. So Angie, great question. And I know sometimes our vendors give us tools which are really nice, but we've got to make sure we're still following the requirements of the STS database. And that would be to still include your admitted patients.
And Chastity, can I jump in and add
Yes.
just a conflicting opinion.
Oh, okay.
That's
Aw,
a
we don't
dangerous
want
thing.
conflict away.
Here we go. That's a dangerous thing to do, because if you miss one by mistake and you don't know to go back and change it, then not all your records are being uploaded later on. So that's kind of a risky thing to do. What I would do is go in and make sure that the question saying, is the patient still in the hospital, is answered yes. And that should clear out most of the warnings that you have missing data. There are some that we just, it's too early in the processing to be able to filter that out, but that will clear up most of those issues. And then that way, when the patient gets discharged and you're putting in the discharge information, you'll kind of be forced into resetting that value into saying yes or no, the patient is no longer in the hospital, they've been discharged, and you have all that information in there, and that's making sure that all of your data is correct. So in my opinion, that's a safer way to do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Point taken, Paul, and you are absolutely correct.
Okay, thank you.
Paul's always correct. Let's face
No,
it.
no.
You made Paul's spidey senses activated.
I know. He's like, no, wait, don't do this. I got you. Totally hear you.
Okay.
Hey, Paul, the second question from Shannon's from you.
Okay.
For you, she's getting the critical error stating invalid anesthesiologist, despite that anesthesiologist being on the contact. Will the fix be put into production next week? Will the fix being put into production next week for the surgeon issue also fix that? She said,
no, anesthesiologist is a different issue altogether. So for that one, send me an email to the STSDB_help desk. Give me your participant ID, the name of the surgeon, and this surgery date. Or I'm sorry, the name of the anesthesiologist and the surgery date. And also what you think the surgeon's NPI is. And then we can check that against the system and see what's going on there. But the invalid anesthesiologist is a different issue altogether. And let me back up a little bit. The fix that's going into production is going in this week, not next week. It's going into, it should be this Wednesday, it should be going into production. And we are going to send an email to all the participants who had this issue to explain to them that the fix is in place and that you should be resubmitting that data and stuff, so that we will contact the participants that have that issue.
gotcha. Thank you, Paul.
Yep.
And let's see, Amy, Schedule B for participant anesthesiologist. Does this include for all cases for 4-year harvest period, or just those added since last harvest?
I can answer that one too.
Okay.
Schedule B is just kind of, it's global. It's all of your data. You add the Schedule B is for your anesthesiologists. Schedule A is for your surgeons. All we need is a signature saying it's okay to accept their data. Now you can tell us that this surgeon's no longer working with you, and we'll stick an inactive date on it. Same thing for the anesthesiologist. But once we have it, we've got it. You don't have to send it in again for newer data or anything like that.
Can I also quickly add something with this? Schedule B, this is Banu. Schedule Bs are for site specific. So it's not for a specific period of time, but if you send it for a specific site, and the surgeon or the anesthesiologist, in this case, I'm sorry, is working for multiple sites and you're uploading cases for other sites as well, we do need Schedule Bs for all of those different sites. Once we have them, it's all good. There's no expiration date to that unless you deactivate the surgeon. But we do need different Schedule Bs or Schedule As for each site.
Thank you, Banu.
Sure.
All right.
And thank you,
Emily-
Angela, for your confidence there.
Yeah. Let's see here. Emily, I stopped screen sharing. If you could throw the slides back up. Again, I'm sorry, guys. I for some reason, right before, literally a minute or two before this webinar started, I was not able to access PowerPoint any longer. I don't know what's going on. So a couple of things on this slide deck need to be corrected before I get posted. Next slide there, Emily. So yeah, so our next monthly webinars, right now we have a webinar scheduled for September 17th. That is post AQO. I'm gonna check in after AQO and see how things are going. If check in and see, we may need to reschedule that webinar as we may still be recovering post AQO, but we'll keep you updated on that. And then our following our October webinar is scheduled for October 15th at 12 p.m. Central. Okie dokie. Next slide. Yep. Contact information again. If you have questions regarding data submissions, questions regarding reports that have been posted or reports that are coming out, numbers in your reports, anything like that, please reach out to us at stsdb_helpdesk@sts.org. Also, here's my contact information as well. If you have questions related to contracts, contact updates, please reach out to stsdb@sts.org. If you're not sure who to email, just reach out to the help desk. Just send an email just to the help desk. You don't have to CC the DB. You don't have to CC me. Just reach out to the help desk directly, and then Paul and Bono and team can get those emails sent along to the appropriate staff if needed. All right. Alrighty. We've got a couple more questions coming in, Emily. So I'm going to go back to our questions. Let's see. Paul mentioned a button to filter out patients not yet discharged. Where is that? I don't.
I'm
It's
hoping
the
you don't
forbidden
have
button.
one.
Yeah, no, we don't have
Yeah,
one.
you're not supposed to have one, but some vendors provide it. So
Yes.
even if I knew, I wouldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Okay, next question from Kate. Question about the mismatch report. If patient has PVR and PA-plasty, the primary is PVR based on the rule, right?
Kate, would you submit this, please? Because it's going to depend on what type of PA-plasty, and there are some special rules regarding pulmonary valve replacements and PA-plasty. So if you would submit that, we can get you the correct answer. And if you want to include like a screenshot of what you're seeing in the IQVIA report, that would be helpful. And we can make sure that that's working appropriately, as well as highlight the rule if that's what needs to happen. Thank you, Kate.
Perfect. All right. Okie dokie. At the next slide, Emily, I think that might be it. Yep. I'm not seeing any additional questions come in. So in the meantime, again, guys, if you do have questions you're not sure to reach out to, please reach out to stsdb_helpdesk@sts.org. And of course, clinical questions should be submitted, clinical/coding questions should be submitted to Chastity and Leslie directly via the FAQ. Let's see, Abby just had a quick question come in. Is it correct that the diagnosis of tricuspid regurg is no longer available?
Excellent question, Abby. With the update, it's a new term. So I think it's called I don't know off the top of my head, but it's like dysplastic tricuspid valve, non-Ebstein's related. And so that covers anything related to the tricuspid valve that's non-Ebstein's. If you would submit that, Abby, I can give you the exact wording and the number for that diagnosis. And Brooke, yes, are we rescheduling the aorta information to a later date? Absolutely. So we will get that. Either we may fit it in some of our AQO information or include it in a future webinar. Yeah. It looks like we have one the week after AQO. Yeah. And right before harvest close. So we'll figure it out, but we will get that information to you. Thank you, Brooke, for that reminder.
Yeah, and thank you. Welcome, Abby. All right. Any other questions? Anything that I may have missed? Addie, Banu, Paul, Emily, anybody, anything? Chess, Leslie, Dr. Meyer? Anything anyone wants to add?
Nothing here.
All right.
All is good.
All right, well, I guess we'll go ahead and end a few minutes early today. Thank you, STS team, for joining on today. I appreciate you guys being on with me. And thank you everyone for joining today. Thank you, Chas Leslie, for providing phenomenal education. As always, we appreciate you. And Dr. Meyer, thank you for joining. We appreciate you taking time out of your day to join us as well. So thanks everyone for joining. We will see you all, for those joining us in Nashville. We'll see you in we'll see you in Nashville in a few weeks. And for those that are unable to join us there, we'll see you virtually. So thanks everyone for hopping on, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Thanks so much, everyone.